Hello, everybody. Now I am here. Welcome in. It is the Wrestling Mat. I am Matt Camp. Thanks for being with me. As always, coming to you a little early if you are a Matt member. That's right. If you're a Matt member, you get perks like this. Sometimes I say, turn those notifications on. You don't know when I'm going live. We might let you know. You got to follow us on social media at Wrestling Mat 23 at the Matt Camp. And you find out, wait a minute, he's live now. I can get it now. Yes, you can. If you're a Matt member, you're getting this one live. Everybody else is getting this in podcast form, thanks to our friends at the Believe Network a little later on in the day. Everybody getting it normally at the 1 p.m. Broadcast spot, as we always do here. But if you're a Matt member, you're getting this one a little bit early. And if you want to become a Matt member, head over to the WrestlingMatShow.com. Hit that join button down below. Find out how you can become a member starting at just $2.99. We will be having a members-only live chat coming up within the next week, so make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. If you're a Matt member, you've been with us for the NXT on CW debut watch party. You've been with us for 2 episodes of me reacting to the Mr. McMahon Netflix doc and so much more, and more coming your way this month. So head over to the WrestlingMatShow.com. Go over to that membership tab and find out how you can become a Matt member starting at just $2.99. Also, head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/TheWrestlingMat. We have shirts. If you're a Matt member, you get discounts on that Matt merch, on that Wrestling Matt merch. But everybody else, no matter who you are, head over to ProWrestlingTees.com/TheWrestlingMat and get your Pro Wrestling Tees Wrestling Matt shirts. They are available right now. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done so yet. That's for free. Subscribe where you get your podcast. You can do that for free. Or like I said, support a little bit more by becoming a member at thewrestlingmatshow.com. We are coming off of, for the first time in like 12 years, a 2-hour Monday Night Raw. Just the idea of structuring a 2-hour Monday Night Raw versus a 3-hour Monday Night Raw, I think was apparent from the jump last night. We will get into that. I ask you guys, whether you're watching live, listening, after the fact, in the comments section down below, how did you feel? How did you feel watching a show that was an hour shorter, that you've probably become accustomed to? Whether you watch the full 3 hours, whether you watch on delay and fast forward, whether you watch the next day and fast forward, whether you just watch the recaps. I'll tell you one thing. I wanted to look because usually, I think they've done this for the last 3 or 4 months or so. WWE puts a full Raw recap up. And sometimes they go 20 minutes. And I happened to look at the one for today, and it was 9 minutes long. 9-minute recap, which is fine by me. The show didn't seem overloaded. It's not like they were trying to cram too much into 2 hours. And it also didn't seem like they left anything out there. I will note how they handled some things differently that I liked. We'll get to that. The main event of that show was Gunther and Sami Zayn for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I came away from that match thinking that I might already call Gunther a better world champion than Cody Rhodes. And I'm really just saying that in terms of presentation. I am well aware that I can make that statement and also know that Cody Rhodes is the face of the company and Gunther will never be that guy. He's a heel world champion. That's fine. I think the presentation, if you're just looking at the attributes, the ring work, the opponents, of how you present two first-time world champions, I came away from last night's Raw wondering to myself, do I like Gunther as a world champion more than Cody? And I know he's world heavyweight champion, WWE champion. My point is they're the top champions on their respective brands. Just from a presentation within the show, not media appearances, not, Wheatley vodka, not doing his own interview show, not going to the country music award, none of that stuff. I get why Cody's doing that. And I have said plenty of times that Cody is excellent at those things. And I'll say it again. He is. I am talking strictly from a pro wrestling standpoint. That I think Gunther may have found himself at least even with Cody in terms of being a great pro wrestling world champion. We'll get into more of that. Raw as a whole, it was fine. The other thing we have to think about as we assess this Raw is the first week they go to 2 hours, they also had to tape another 2 hours because there is a UK tour next week. So next week's Raw is in the can. It is done. It is complete. I read the results. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will tell you from experience. You have to look at those shows a little differently. I understand they're a $9 billion company. I understand they have great production, all that stuff. It is still not easy to get two high-quality TV shows taped in one night. It's just not easy to do. And you have to save some stuff, and you have to be careful of some stuff, and injuries and all that stuff you have to work around, and just the fact that you have to cram everything into 1 week of 2 shows. Some of that I like because you have to stick to creative. But that also means you have to write 2 shows. In addition, they had to have 2 shows ready to go. And I'm not trying to say anybody's, oh, it's such a tough job. And no, it is a tough job, but I'm not trying to give them any sympathy but you have to write 2 shows for Monday on the weekend of a pay-per-view. So they went SmackDown, Bad Blood, Day Off, 2 Raws, and a lot of people, I would assume, who worked last night in St. Louis are working tonight in St. Louis. Production, the talent alone, and then they're right back at it on Friday. So it is a lot. And I do think at times, and understandably so, the quality will suffer a little bit. I read the Raw results for next week. It doesn't strike me as a big show. Do you want to do too much on a tape show? Of course you don't. Part of me says it's okay to have something big go on a tape show because you want to create that buzz going into next week. Certainly understandable. But it felt like they spread out, in a way, what would have been a 3-hour Raw over 4 hours and 2 episodes, just based on what I read. Now, I want to get your thoughts on that. Here's the questions. I will be doing this more often. Questions I want you guys to ponder. I love your opinions. Did you like 2 hours versus 3? I said it yesterday. I think 2 hours is the appropriate, perfect amount of time for a wrestling show. If there's a little overrun, sure. That's fine. But if I go in expecting to sit down for 2 hours and I sit for 2:10, that's fine. I think 2 hours is good. You know what wrestling should make you want? When that show's over, you should be looking forward to next week. You should be looking forward to the next episode. What's going to happen next? I can't wait. It's why I've always kind of been with in a way. The brands pretty much being exclusive. Obviously, Cody showed up last night, and there will be more of that heading into Crown Jewel because there's cross-promotional stuff going on. It's understandable. But it takes me back to 97, 98, pre-SmackDown days of, we got to wait a week. What's going to happen? I can't wait for next week. It builds the anticipation like anything in life. If you love something, if you love a show, if you can't wait to watch your sports team, like I can't wait to watch the Mets today at 5 Eastern. If it's your partner and you don't see them, when you do see them, you're excited to see them. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Supply and demand. Whether it's who you love, whether it's a team you love, whether it's a show you love, if you don't get them all the time, if you're not around it all the time and you go, I can't wait. That's what you want that feeling. You want that feeling of I get to sit down and I'm excited for this. God, I haven't waited. It's like a television show. That's why binge watching television has changed things. Because you can wait and watch it all at once, or some Netflix or Peacock or Amazon, they drop all the episodes and you just buzz through them and it's like, okay, now what? Whereas if you have the anticipation, I think you get more excited for things. And some of us, and I am certainly guilty of this as well, it's like, no, I can't watch it now. I want to watch it now. It's why you sit down to watch 2 episodes of something and end up watching 6, because it's that good. But you want to create that feeling. You want to create that feeling of, oh, it's over? Oh, but I have so many questions. I can't wait for next week. And what's going to happen here? That's what wrestling should be. Especially television wrestling. We talked about the clean finishes yesterday and how Bad Blood had 5 matches. 4 of them had interference. There was the continuation of whatever's going on with Roman and Cody and the Bloodline and The Rock. That's far from over. Liv and Raquel and Rhea and Dom, far from over. Bad Blood didn't really settle anything. Priest and Finn, kinda. I really addressed last night on Raw. Drew and Punk was addressed. We'll get to that in a second. Nia and Bayley. Bayley's probably out of the mix now, but obviously there's stuff with Tiffany. Bad Blood felt like it was just continuing on with everything. Not putting an end to anything. Punk and Drew is over. No doubt about that. Everything else, though, felt like, all right, this is just another page in this chapter, not even the end of chapters. Did it leave you wanting more in a good way or a bad way? Were you not satisfied? I think there should be more satisfaction when it comes to PLEs because you're building towards those. And I know that's not always an end point, and feuds will go on for multiple months, and I'm all for that. I think a good feud should go on for a while. Not everything's going to be CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Not everything's going to be Hangman and Swerve. There will be feuds that can go 2-3 months and are strong, and that's fine. There's feuds that go 1 month, and they don't have much more left in them. And sometimes, and I will tell you, this is absolutely a thing. You plan for a 1-month feud. You realize there's chemistry there. There's good promo work. There's good in-ring chemistry. Hey, let's get a little bit more out of this. Let's not do that obvious finish or that neat and tidy finish to move on. Let's get more out of this. That's what wrestling should be. You need feuds with varying levels of heat. You need and feuds will create more or less than you expected. You feel the crowd. Hey, this is working. We got to keep going with this. We got to give them more. Oh, you know what? Maybe this isn't working as well. Maybe we wrap this one up quicker. A good booker feels that out. They have plans. Theoretically, should stick to the plans, but willing to adjust as needed. Sheamus and Pete Dunne, just for example. I'm not going to go deep in this match. That feud's been going on for like a month and a half now. It has nothing to do with pay-per-views. Pete's had some side quests in NXT and all that stuff. But it's been a nice, solid feud to, I think, legitimize who Pete Dunne is as Pete Dunne and not Butch. I think you have someone who is as reliable as it gets in the ring to have those kind of matches in Sheamus, and that's Sheamus's role. And it's been a nice, solid feud. My expectations are not too high. They're not low. I know those guys put in good work. Do I see they're one of them moving up the card as a result of this? No. And you could argue, well, they probably should. And that's fair. Sheamus winning, does that put him in line for Jey Uso on the IC title? Perhaps. And sometimes it is about building people up to create credible opponents for your champions. It's exactly the issue I've had with Cody Rhodes' title reign. They didn't have enough people ready to go. AJ, Logan, AJ. Back to the bloodline with Solo. Really just the backdrop for Roman's return. Oh, let's have you be friends with Kevin, but also give him a title shot. Okay, now you're back with Roman. Oh, now Kevin doesn't like you. But also you have to deal with Gunther. Also, the bloodline beat you up again. Okay. It doesn't feel like Cody Rhodes has been the main character in a exciting, thrilling way enough times as champion. The AJ and Logan Paul matches felt like victory laps of like he's almost in a parade. Hey, everybody, here's your Cody Rhodes appearance. You get to see him now. He finished the story. He's a champion. Let's watch this exhibition match where he is in no doubt of losing that title. He's in no danger of losing that title. Oh, remember that stuff with the bloodline? It's back now. Oh, here's Roman. Cody and Solo? No, we know Solo's not winning. It's about Cody. It's about Roman coming back, okay? Oh, we need another opportunity. It's Kevin. Now, as I've said, I like the Kevin stuff. I want to see where it goes after the punch in the face and the beatdown after Bad Blood. I would have held off on that a little longer. I definitely would have held off on that knowing that Cody's facing Gunther at Crown Jewel for the Crown Jewel Championship, which means nothing. Right now, it's just who won a champion versus champion match, and I hate the idea of beating a champion with really nothing on the line, especially two first-time champions in Cody Rhodes and Gunther. You could say, hey, they'll do a non-finish. Yeah, but they got that big green title that they're going to give to one of them. That what they're going to wear after the fact? Somebody's going to win that thing, which means somebody's going to lose, which means somebody is going to lose in their first within their first championship reign. What will that loss mean? What will that win mean? If Cody beats Gunther, maybe it further establishes what everybody thinks, that Cody is the guy. He is the top champion. Everybody else is behind him. The World Heavyweight Championship doesn't mean as much. And if Gunther beats Cody, which is probably the right way to go, if you're asking me, because I think he needs that win more than Cody does. Cody's going to be fine. We know that. Cody is pretty much bulletproof. But as we dive in here a little bit on Gunther and Cody, Gunther has been booked as strong as anybody in the company. And it may not be totally fair to compare the reigns of Gunther, heel world champion, first-time champion, and Cody Rhodes, babyface, face of the company, WWE champion. But I'm going to do it anyway. Gunther's booking, dominant as Intercontinental Champion, loses the IC title at WrestleMania, the right spot for a heel to lose to a beloved babyface who has not been able to overcome the biggest obstacles. He gets so close and then it doesn't happen. And he beats Gunther. And then Braun beats Gunther, and then Braun beats Sammy. And we're at now at the IC title. Think about that. Think about how the fact that Gunther held the title for 666 days. And since then, Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, and Jey Uso have now all held the championship from April to October. And hasn't hurt the title. In fact, I think all the work Gunther did as the Intercontinental Champion has made all of those reigns important, has made Sammy beating Gunther important, has made Braun getting his first big championship, beating someone like Sami Zayn, important. And then having Jey in a legit 50-50 toss-up match with Braun Breaker win to get that moment. Each one of those victories has been important because of the value of the Intercontinental Championship, and I attribute that to Gunther's reign. So they have made the Intercontinental Championship mean a lot, and that's a good thing. I don't think the U.S. title feels that way. I think people were happy to see L.A. Knight beat Logan Paul and become United States champion, but I don't think it holds that kind of value and prestige currently that the Intercontinental Championship does, and that can change. It's all about presentation. I think the World Heavyweight title has been boosted by having Gunther have that title, and I'll tell you why. Because you have booked him extremely strong. You made the King of the Ring matter. You had Gunther defeat Damian Priest. And yes, I wasn't the biggest fan of Gunther's first World Heavyweight Championship reign being connected to any kind of outside interference. But there's two things I'm okay with there. Number one, it was part of the Judgment Day story and it had to happen. And it furthered along the push of Damian Priest as a main event babyface, which is a weird thing to do at the end of his first title reign, but it is what has happened. And number two, at least Gunther's a heel. And I know he's not a typical heel in that he wins clean and he beats people up and he just dominates in the ring. And typically that's not heel fashion. There's got to be reasons to dislike the guy. He's done that with his promos. But at least you can point to, hey, there was some cheating, even though he wasn't necessarily involved in him becoming world champion. He's still in his stuff, and he still won the title. But I don't like him because of how he won. That's fine. That's just telling the fan you're not supposed to like that guy. And we move on from Gunther winning the World Heavyweight Championship right into him and Randy Orton. A legitimate contender who could take the title away from him. And I was thinking about this as I was driving back home today. I was like, I'm going to talk about this. And did I think Randy was going to beat Gunther? No. But that's me. And I've tried to step away from that. And I've said how much I, in my time in WWE, how much I learned about who's watching, how to watch, what we're trying to get across. Because I, as a 35-year wrestling fan who was reading the internet in my teen years about wrestling and the inside dirt and all that stuff, and I know that stuff's a lot more out there now, but a 35-year fan who has been tapped into what's going on because I wanted to, who worked in the industry. There's the fan in me who's been around for 35 years. There's the analyst in me who's talking to you right now, and this is my job, and was before WWE and now is after. And then there's the person who was part of the whole show. That's three very different perspectives, and I try to take a little bit from each one of those perspectives as I talk about these things. If you tell a fan, anyone WWE fan, Randy Orton, Gunther, there's a belief, a strong belief, that it's Randy Orton. Of course he can win the world title. And I have to remind myself of that because the comment section anywhere can be a mess, but they also can be telling. There's stuff I read and I go, well, that's definitely not going to happen. But if people believe it's going to happen, then the company's doing the right thing, or it's something that people want to see, then maybe you have to look at that a little bit. If you put Randy Orton and Gunther on a card, the analyst in me says, well, they're not going to change the title. But the fan in me says, that's a great match. And the fan who is not looking at it as an analytical way, the fan who is not looking at it as pushes or rating, the fan who is a fan. And believe me, there are a lot of times where I wish I could just be a fan. I will have that feeling in 5 hours when I watch the Mets today. I am a fan. I will live and die with every pitch and every home run and everything that happens. And it's a great feeling. I have absolutely loved having that feeling. Sharing it with my fiance, sharing it with my daughter, sharing it with my dad. Like, that's a nice thing. And I have to remember, and I think a lot of people in wrestling need to remember that sometimes. That's who they're booking for. They're not booking for me. They are not booking for wrestling journalists. They are not booking for wrestling fans who have been around for 30 years, who know everything, who you want to say are jaded or aware or are grizzled or analyze it. No, they're booking for the people who are excited to go watch wrestling and to root for their favorites and to boo the ones they don't like. And on paper, that's what Gunther and Randy Orton is. And it had a logical reasoning to book that match because of what happened in King of the Ring. So, no, I did not think Gunther was going to lose, but I know there are people that go, it's Randy Orton. He could be a 15-time world champion. Of course he could beat Gunther. That's what you have to look at sometimes. But you're also doing so in a way where Gunther is the obvious heel and Randy Orton is the obvious babyface. You can say, well, why wouldn't you say that about Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles? You can. However, the first feud was Cody was the obvious babyface, and AJ was also a babyface. And then Logan Paul, and then AJ again. I still think it's about presenting people and how you present them and how the audience looks at them. What is their perception? It's not like AJ Styles had been on fire and then they had him lose. And then you go to Logan Paul and no one expects him to beat Cody. And that's fine. It was a Saudi match. It's obvious babyface Cody versus big worldwide superstar Logan Paul. That's all that was. They at least tried to heat AJ up and make him a more diabolical, mean heel and desperate against Cody. Okay, I get that. That's fine. It was also the second match. I look at Gunther's reign, while not as long, and say, okay, he's been booked strong all year. There's been no doubt. How often did you see a Money in the Bank holder lose as the briefcase holder and then win? And the thought was, well, now they have contenders set up. No, you just kind of booked him 50-50, and that doesn't make him strong as he's going to cash in this briefcase, which is already kind of a weak move. No, Gunther was built up all year, has been built up his entire run on the main roster. And even after he lost the IC title, I liked that they got him off TV. I know it was referenced. I know Sammy brought it up. It was good fodder, but it was also smart because it gives you a refresher. It's like taking Roman off of TV after you've been champion for 3.5 years. It's the right thing to do. We're not probably going to see Drew for a couple weeks. He just lost a big, massive feud. Even Punk last night. And I'll get to more of this. Hey, guys, I can't believe I did that. Thanks for being with me. I got the shit kicked out of me. I'm going to have to recover from this. I don't know when you're going to see me again. Wrestling is so nonstop that it's good to have people go away. Once again, I come back to I can't wait to see them. You know, what's going to happen on Raw next week? Well, you got to wait. I don't know when I'm going to see CM Punk again. It's why Seth Rollins coming back and stomping Bronson Reed was a great moment, because you didn't expect it. Maybe you did, but because he went away and he sold the injury, it made his comeback even better. It made it even more impactful. It got a bigger pop. It got him a bigger pop last night on Raw because we hadn't seen or heard from him. All that stuff makes sense. So Gunther going away after he lost the IC title allowed him to refresh. It put him in the back of everybody's mind. So he comes back for the King of the Ring. He wins it. He goes right on to SummerSlam. He wins the world title. They set him up with Randy. He goes into Berlin. He gets presented in a very big way on top of already being a world champion. And he chokes out Randy Orton. And it's a massive quality win that he and announcers will be able to call back to talk him up. And we move on from that into nothing very clear. It's Sami Zayn, and Sami's got a talking point. I beat you. I beat you at WrestleMania. Nobody else can say they did that. I did it. And Gunther, as a heel, ducked him, threw Kaiser in his way. That's the heel part of Gunther, because you need to be careful about this. If a guy is just really good and really dominant in the ring, and he doesn't cheat, why would I dislike him? Gunther has been a heel with his non-in-ring work. We saw it on Saturday. I thought he was outstanding with Goldberg. I would look at him differently. Or if I am booking for book, I'm looking at that going, oh, he can do that. He looked very comfortable doing that. He had an outstanding cockiness to him, confidence to him. Goldberg, come on in. I got 3 minutes for you. What a great line. What a great way to show Gunther. And once again, all of this booking is connective tissue. He stood up to DX. They kind of cowered to him. He battled Randy Orton. He's been there at WrestleMania. You've put him in the ring with Bret Hart. You had him in a very heated segment with Goldberg. He's showing you he can do this stuff. Come on and fight me. Come on in there, Bill. And there's Sami. And then Gunther retreats ahead of their title match. So Gunther as a heel has been a heel in his words and his actions. His in-ring is just, I know how good I am when the bell rings. The way he's a heel is by telling people that, by calling out their issues. Hey, you're a great this, and this, but you're not me. And then he backs it up. His words right now, I think, are just as important to his character as his wrestling, because the wrestling's always been there. But now he's a real SOB when he talks to you, because he cuts you down. And that makes him a perfect opponent for Sami Zayn. And I want to give WWE a lot of credit. I have complained, as have others in the last couple of days, about the interference. 4 matches out of 5 at Bad Blood had interference. However, we've known about this world title match for a few weeks. We knew it wasn't on Bad Blood. The obvious call there is, well, Gunther's going to beat Sami. And he did. But by throwing in 2 things. Number 1, if he wins, he faces Cody at Crown Jewel. Whether you like what that's going to happen, how that's going to happen, or the stakes behind that or not, that's fine. But they leave the door open of, what if it's Sami? Sami has history with Cody. And they had an interaction last night. Cody's at the show. They have Sammy interact with him. What's going on? You know what just happened with Kevin and Cody. Now you've put some layers in. But by also having the interaction with Goldberg and Gunther, you've now planted the seed of, and I had people text me about this yesterday, that work there, that worked there, that are fan, whatever. I talked to multiple people about this. Hey, you think Goldberg's going to run in and cost Gunther? That'd be a big surprise. And it wasn't to say it was definitely going to happen, but to plant that seed of doubt, to plant that seed of intrigue, the segment with Goldberg added to the match with Sammy and Gunther, because it was fair to wonder, wait, would they be, could Goldberg show up? Could he cost Gunther? Could we get Sami Zayn as champion? Even if you didn't definitely think it was going to happen. If it got planted in your brain, they did their job. And even me, I went, I wonder, would they do that? Probably not. I knew I was getting a great wrestling match last night in the main event. Well aware of that. Seen it before with those guys, was excited to see it again. They're two of the very best. They have great chemistry. They match up so well in terms of what their characters are. I'll throw it, they might be perfect opponents for each other. How they're presented, where their backgrounds are, how good they are in the ring. Gunther and Sammy running into each other at Mania and again last night makes perfect sense. And the Goldberg thing was a nice little piece of, Gunther said a lot of terrible stuff and tried to embarrass Goldberg in front of his family in a place where he is synonymous with. Gunther said all that stuff to Goldberg. Maybe Goldberg gets a little piece back. Gunther and Goldberg? Because even then, it's like, oh, it's Saudi. Goldberg's been in Saudi before. He's a big name. They like to have the big names. That would make sense. To have those thoughts running through your head, that's good pro wrestling booking. And then we got a great match, not surprisingly, between Gunther and Sami Zayn. I'm interested to see, this is where the ratings get interesting to me. I don't need to go minutia, but I want to see how many people wanted to stick around for that. How many people believed? The Monday night game, football-wise, was two marquee teams. It was a crap game. It was okay, but it's Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are two old-school, long-time fan bases. They probably did a strong number last night, and I wouldn't be surprised if Raw got hit hard by that. So, whatever. That's besides the point. Sammy and Gunther had a great match. And what I liked about the match is at the end, when Gunther thought he had it won twice. And he didn't. And there was one where he did the sell of a kick out. That happens too often in NXT. And has happened and has been like the ingrained way of NXT surprising 2K. What do I have to do? That happens too often. Gunther never does it. So when he did it last night, it meant more. That should have put Sammy away, and it didn't. Typically, he just moves right along. And I always like that he stacked up his big moves at the end. I think it's very old school Japanese wrestling to me. It's not just about hitting one move and pin it. No, it's stacking them up and hitting a couple in a row. I am a big fan of that. That's how Gunther wrestles. But he stopped and he sat there. And there was a look of doubt on the world champion's face. That should have done it. And it didn't. Maybe this guy does have my number. And he didn't. And then Sammy kicked out at 1, which is a great use of a 1 count. And you saw it on his face. a stubbornness on Sami Zayn's face. That's what we saw. A stubbornness of, I'm not going down, even though I probably should. And then he got choked out. But he fought through the choke out because that's what a valiant underdog babyface does. And he had the crowd with him, and then Gunther put him down. And he looked dominant again. And then they did the face-off with Cody. And Gunther had a smile on his face. Gunther looked at Cody as if to say, sure, you want to do this? Okay. It's your death wish. There is that cocky confidence that comes across his face that makes him a great world champion. Cody has that confidence in a different way. It's the smile. It's the high-fiving fans. It's dressing the way he does. It's being confident in everything he does. You know every word that's going to come out of his mouth. All of it. I take on the responsibility of what this is, and I do so happily. I'm happy to see all you people out here. Look at all the belts I signed for you. But for Gunther, it is a, all right, take a little break from signing belts because you got something on your hands now, and that what's on your hands is me, the World Heavyweight Champion, the guy who's going to show that I'm better than you. I'll take that champion of champions, crown jewel. I'm going to show people that I'm better than you. I am interested in those promo battles if they happen. But I say all that to say, everything that has been done with Gunther has been done perfectly, and he has executed quite well. Cody Rhodes has executed everything you could want from a WWE champion. But I don't think he's been given the best things to work with. I don't think it's been enough about him. I think there's always been the when's Roman coming back? Oh, he's still got to deal with the bloodline. Some stuff that should be in his past. And some stuff that appears to have come back up because they needed to, because there's not enough there. I think the presentation of Gunther as a world champion, I'll say it this way. I think Gunther has been more elevated than Cody has. I think Cody now has a title, but doesn't feel a hell of a lot different than he did. And in fact, I don't want to say he feels lesser than, but there's not enough of a reason to get behind him because the chase is over. Where Gunther keeps building on his legacy, it feels like. And that, to me, is what makes him a world champion. And I'll say this, definitely with more momentum. Maybe that'll be enough to intrigue people. Like I said, would rather have this been for bigger stakes. And they could bring this back down the road. Whoever wins the next time they fight, whoever wins this match at Crown Jewel could say, hey, I already beat you once before. When you were world champion, I beat you. I could do it again. You'll have that fodder. That's fine. But I don't want one of these guys to lose and still walk out of there with their championship on Monday or Friday the following week. A couple comments here I'm reading. What's up, nerdy dude? Hello, David. David says, I just want to say thanks for your show. Helped me through some personal stuff and has become part of my routine. I was initially gifted a membership, but I value the show enough to stick around. David, I thank you so very much for doing so. I'm sure Nerdy Dude gave out that subscription, so you could say thank you to him, the membership. Hope you're doing okay. I understand that. I always want to provide maybe a little escape, a little part of your routine. And I really appreciate you sticking around. That means a lot, and I hope things are going okay, and I hope we continue to entertain you that way. Another one here. Nerdy Dude, if you think about it, Sami is well-liked in Saudi Arabia, so it would not be that far-fetched. I would agree. I thought that, and I think that was part of it as well. Would they go there? Then again, do you want to put Sami up against Cody, knowing that reaction? Something to think about there as well. Zach said, Philly David feel the same way. Zach said, Raw did feel rushed. So I want to get into that real quickly. Think about how the show started. You started hot. You bring out Punk, right? Thanks, everybody. I won, blah, blah. Not a lot of substance to the promo. And then you get Seth comes out, and they get a moment, but not much more. And Seth addresses Punk for a second, and they go through all that. And he makes his mission statement clear, I'm coming for you, Bronson Reed. And instead of that being the end of that segment, they bring Jay out. So Seth and Jay have a moment. You kind of wonder, there's some backstory there with Bloodline. But then we get right into Jay's match. So that right there is a great example of the show going from 3 hours to 2 and how you adjust the format of it. You've now had Punk, Seth, and Jay all appear in the same continuous segment for the most part. You've had Punk say what he needs to say, interact with Seth, who acknowledged Punk, who went on to talk about other things going on in the company, and then put his sights on Bronson Reed. And then you had the interaction with Jay and Seth to lead to their tag title match. Their Intercontinental title match between Jay and Xavier Woods, which pushed another story forward. Pushed two other stories forward. It pushed what's going on with the New Day forward, and it pushed Braun Breaker still wanting the Intercontinental Championship forward, which also pushed into Kofi and Braun next week. So really good, concise, a good economy of booking is the best way I would put that. They fit a lot into all of that. Punk connected you all the way to the New Day stuff. And just the way they put that all out there. I like that show flow. I like that it moves that way. That's a way to get around working 2 hours instead of 3. They put a lot of more backstage stuff on digital and on, I guess, Raw Talk or whatever. There's a way to do it as well. So I don't think the 10 women tag, I was surprised it made the show. Part of me wonders if they were trying to get out ahead of any criticism if they didn't appear on the show. So let's get them all on the show. Did that match mean anything? Absolutely not. It didn't. Everything else seemed to mean something on that show. That 10-woman tag didn't mean a hell of a lot. Lyra won. Cool. Is that setting her up for Liv? Hell no, it's not. There wasn't much to it. The show moved. They didn't cover as much. They'll probably cover it on, there wasn't a lot from Liv on all that stuff with Rhea and Priest. Wasn't much there. They left stuff off. They have a taped show for next week. Some of that will be addressed. Some of it won't. Do you have to cycle some people out because they won't be on Crown Jewel? I don't think the show missed anything all that much. I think it left you wanting a bit more, which is the key of, well, what else is going on? And what's going to happen with Liv and Nia? And what's going to happen with Rhea and Liv and Dom and Raquel? And there is some of that stuff that still has to be addressed. You've cycled Punk off. I guess he's not going to be on Crown Jewel now. There is that. It makes you want to see him more. To me, those are good things. And I do wonder if they go back to 3 hours on Netflix, if people are going to go, oh, I wished for 2-hour Raws. I loved that. I love looking forward to next week. And then, of course, they book some stuff for tonight where Jey Uso is going to be on NXT. So they add a little more star power to that. Oba and Tony, again, we're going to see that. The 6-woman tag tonight, we're going to see that. With AEW running Title Tuesday tonight with, Pac and Claudio against Yuta and Bryan and Emmy and Mercedes. And what did they add? They had a hologram match. Not super, super loaded up show, but it's fine. It's also their go-home show for Wrestle Dream. It's about getting the most out of your time, but also still wanting people to have the thirst for more. Nerdy Dude here says, man, if you think about it, it was a full circle moment. Remember when Cody won the Rumble the first time? Gunther looked at Cody like, one day I'll get you, when he got eliminated. Yeah, when that happened, think about that. Because I hated Cody winning from 30. I didn't hate it as much when he lost at WrestleMania, but I hated when he won from 30. It seemed too much like, oh, wow, let's really help out the babyface. Whereas Gunther came in at 1 as the Intercontinental Champion and goes 71 minutes and sets the record. And does so by getting eliminated by the guy who was the face of the company in Cody Rhodes, who not that year, but the following year would go on to be the man, the WWE Champion. And look where we are now. Gunther's the other man on Monday Night Raw. I always felt that was going to be a big feud for Cody. I didn't think they'd be on opposite shows. I thought when Cody won at WrestleMania that he would get Gunther at SummerSlam. I thought that when I thought he was going to win in Hollywood, and he didn't. I thought it when it happened. I thought that's exactly why they did that Rumble finish, because it gives Cody a great opponent that could tangibly, credibly, believably defeat him at SummerSlam. Obviously, Cody didn't win in Hollywood. Obviously, Cody and Gunther ended up on different shows. And at SummerSlam, they both walked out as champions. And they've had that, like I said, the amount of stuff that they haven't touched yet. They have Punk matches. They have Punk Cody. They have Punk Roman. Hell, they might have Punk Rock again. They have Punk Gunther. Those are just a few. They have Punk Kevin Owens. They have Punk Randy Orton. You have Roman as a babyface now. You have Roman Rock. You have Roman Cody 3. You have Roman Gunther. You have Roman Drew. Roman Punk. Roman Seth you can go back to in a way. You have Gunther Cody. You have Gunther Kevin Owens. You have Gunther Roman Reigns. You have Gunther. There's a lot there. Gunther John Cena. They have a lot of this stuff to get to. I'm just surprised they are using the Gunther Cody match like the way they are. I'm not enthused by it because I don't care about the result. I think the build will be solid, but the result is not anything I'm rushing to get to because I don't care about that title. And I don't know how many people do. I don't know. It's all about how that is perceived, how it is presented. I say that stuff all the time, but it is. When Gunther or Cody wins, what's next? What did that win mean? They won a crown jewel championship that will be forgotten about by that Monday or Friday? Or will it lead to more? Those stakes don't matter to me because I don't know what that title is supposed to be other than something that is crowned in Saudi Arabia that we won't think about for a while. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Appreciate those of you in the live chat. Everybody else, comment down below. Head over to thewrestlingmatchshow.com to become a member. And also make sure you're checking it out if you're on the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. You can do that for free. Subscribe to thewrestlingmatchshow.com. You can do that for free. If you want to become a member, we'd love you to check that out. Go to the membership tab. We'd appreciate that. And go to prowrestlingtees.com/thewrestlingmat to get your Wrestling Mat merch. You get a discount if you're a Matt member, so make sure you check that out. Nerdy Dude here, is the injury from AJ Styles legit or not? I have heard it is legit. So take that for what you will. I think it played into what they wanted to do, but then he actually got hurt. Not that it was lucky that it happened that way, because I think that was kind of supposed to be what like he was going to sell something else, and instead he actually hurt himself, so they just kind of played along with it. I hope he's okay. I mean, that's all I would say. We'll go from there. Yeah. Hopefully AJ's okay. So it's a bummer because he just came back, but we'll see. We'll see. But I will be back tomorrow to talk about not one, but 2 wrestling shows. We have a very busy Wednesday on this program tomorrow. We'll be talking about NXT, CW, on the road, and we'll be talking about Title Tuesday for AEW. All of that is coming your way. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about wrestling even more, right here on The Wrestling Mat.